Chapter 1299. Gu Mengmeng allowed Wabiai to hug her with all his might, like a willful child hugging a toy he had lost and found. There was no hint of intimacy between a man and a woman, just the fear of losing a friend or even a relative. Little shit. Thank you for being afraid of losing me, and thank you for coming back. But my waist is about to break, can't you be a little gentler? Not only did Wabiai not loosen his grip, he hugged her even more tightly. He laughed out loud. Gentle my ass. I will be the Snake King if I strangle you to death. Scram. Gu Mengmeng raised her hand to give Wabiai another slap, causing him to fall to the ground. Wabiai sprawled on the ground, twitching, not even lifting his face. Gu Mengmeng felt a little guilty. Are you serious? Did you become epileptic from being beaten? Wabiai shook his head but didn't say a word. Gu Mengmeng squatted there in confusion. She poked Wabiai with a finger and asked worriedly, Did I hit you too hard? Are you alright? Scram, don't bother me. Let me lie here for a while. Gu Mengmeng was taken aback. Damn, why did he sound like he was crying? She grabbed Wabiai's hair and lifted his head up. Gu Mengmeng looked at Wabiai in shock. A little shit, you are actually crying. I am not crying. Don't you slander me. Since he had already been seen, Wabiai didn't bother burying his face anymore. He pulled Gu Mengmeng back into his arms. I thought I would never be able to fight with you again in this lifetime. Gu Mengmeng's heart warmed. She hugged Wabiai back and gently patted his back. If he continued to be so afraid of her and hide far away from her, he would never be able to fight with her again. There was a relationship that was forged through fighting. The more they fought, the better the relationship would be. This relationship was called Wabiai and Gu Mengmeng. Wabiai started feeling awkward after he calmed down. He had lived for 800 years, and was second only to Snake in the beast world in terms of being feared by others. But he was actually beaten to tears by a little female. Although Gu Mengmeng's family of 3 did not mention this matter, the way Leah and Elvis looked at him was really enough. Wabiai raised half his body and rushed towards Elvis. Little wolf, I heard that you have become a beast king. Come and fight with me to loosen up my muscles. Elvis waved his hand. The wild wolves that were baring their teeth and about to pounce on Wabiai suppressed the low growls coming from their throats and maintained a posture that was ready to leap and attack at any moment. They took 2 steps back, but their eyes were still fixed on Wabiai, guarding against his every move. Elvis carried Gu Mengmeng and said, I can't fight with you now. Why? Wabiai was displeased. Elvis tidied the stray hair on Gu Mengmeng's forehead and said, If I accidentally kill you, Xiao Meng will be upset. I won't do anything that will upset Xiao Meng. Wabiai narrowed his eyes and flashed his poisonous fangs. Was he being looked down upon by this little wolf? Right. He swung his snake tail at Elvis without using any strength. Elvis leaped backwards easily and did not get angry. He just said softly, Those wooden barrels over there are filled with Xiao Meng's grape wine. Xiao Meng will definitely be angry if you ruin it. Wabiai's tail forcefully stopped a step away from the barrel. He turned around and sneered. Fight with me or I will ruin this broken barrel. Chapter 1300. Wabiai gritted his teeth. Little wolf pup, you have been corrupted. This couple was actually using the same trick to threaten him. Damn it. They were both beast kings and were more powerful than him. He was the one being bullied all the time. She sighed. The truth was nothing in Snake's eyes. As long as Gu Mengmeng opened her mouth, even if she said fishes were flying in the sky and birds were swimming in the water, Snake would never hesitate to believe her. Elvis smiled. Thank you for your compliment. While Gu Mengmeng was settling Wabiai's matter, Leah had already prepared a pot of food. He called Gu Mengmeng and Elvis out to eat. Besides Gu Mengmeng's family of 3, there was also Wabiai, Ian, Gregory, and the unshakable Oriton. Because of Gregory's presence, no one mentioned anything about the news Gu Mengmeng had received from the beast deity. After all, Gregory was not one of them. Although he liked Gu Mengmeng, he was not someone who could share information with Wabiai, Ian, and Oriton. Gu Mengmeng asked as she ate, How long did I sleep this time? Lee's gaze drifted to Gregory. 5 days. 5 days, Gu Mengmeng nodded. Gregory, so you are leaving today? Gregory's chest tightened. He nodded with much difficulty. Actually, there was a moment when he almost blurted out that his injuries had not healed, and he wanted to stay for 2 more days to recuperate. But the males of the vulture tribe had an inextinguishable pride in their bones. Although Gu Mengmeng had pushed him a little too hard that day, he had recovered after recuperating for 3 days. He was unwilling to show weakness in front of Gu Mengmeng, and even more unwilling to lie to her. So, have you thought of a reason to convince me to bring you up the mountain? Gregory's gaze deepened. His seemingly calm eyes hid a surging anticipation. Gu Mengmeng shook her head. Her gaze landed on Elvis's chest. She smiled. The marriage agreement between the vulture tribe and that great lord seems to be impossible to fulfill. I've met with that lord, and he asked me to tell you that the engagement is over. From today onwards, the leader of your vulture tribe is free to marry. You don't have to guard that engagement to the death, and be lonely for the rest of your lives. Gregory's face carried a tinge of disappointment and desolation. To the vulture tribe, that engagement was a promise, but also a shackle. Now that it had been undone, he did not feel as if a heavy burden had been lifted from his shoulders. Could he pursue Gu Mengmeng now that he was no longer engaged? But why didn't he feel the slightest bit of joy? I understand now. The difficulties between him and her had never been because of that engagement. He was about to leave, and she didn't even try to stop him. He was prepared. No matter how ridiculous her excuse was, as long as she revealed even the slightest desire for him to stay or for him to take her away, he would agree. However, she actually shook her head so calmly and even gave him a release, allowing him to marry freely. You don't want the love of the sky? Gregory asked softly. Gu Mengmeng smiled and said, Yes, of course. Without that thing, my man won't let me bear children. Gregory felt as if his heart had been sliced by a small knife. So she had put in so much effort to find the love of the sky just so she could bear children for her partner. Chapter 1301. Gregory felt that he should turn around and fly back to the Mota Mountains in a carefree manner, leaving Gu Mengmeng with a proud and aloof back view and an aloof image. As long as he left, she would never be able to ascend the Mota Mountains and obtain the love of the sky. She would also not be able to bear the children of those 2 males. It was a childish idea, but Grace just couldn't suppress the sour taste that kept bubbling up in her heart. But thinking was just thinking. He could not spread his wings. He clearly wanted to say, then I will leave. But when he opened his mouth he said, Then how do you intend to ascend the mountain? Gu Mengmeng held her cheek and thought for a while. Then she shook her head and said, I have not thought about it yet. Things will eventually sort themselves out. If there is really no other way, I will summon the beasts in the beast world to accompany me to be a foolish old man, and dig out the mountain. Gregory's gaze froze and he asked softly with a frown, You are serious? Gu Mengmeng chuckled and said, Of course not serious. She took the rice from Elvis and swallowed it after chewing a few times. Then she said, I know what the Mota Mountains mean to the birds' tribe. How can I destroy the mountain for my own selfish desires? I was just saying it casually, don't take it seriously. Gregory's gaze dimmed for a moment. Actually, he wanted to say that if Gu Mengmeng was serious, then he would have a reason to give in. For the sake of the birds' tribe he could lower his head and say, I will bring you up the mountain, don't destroy the Mota Mountains. With such a dignified reason, would he be able to cover up his dirty and selfish thoughts and stay by her side for a few more days? Gregory laughed bitterly in his heart. He did not expect that he would become so despicable in just a month's time. Then, I'll be going. Saying goodbye, Gregory sat on the same spot without moving an inch. Gu Mengmeng said, Wait a moment. Gregory's eyes brightened instantly, and he could not hide his anticipation when he looked at Gu Mengmeng. Gu Mengmeng turned around and returned to the stone castle. She took out a beautiful feather fan and handed it to Gregory. She said, I promised you that I will give you the first fan. Treat it as a parting gift. I wish you a pleasant journey. Gregory's fingertips felt slightly cold. He took the fan from Gu Mengmeng, and his eyes that had just lit up dimmed again. He nodded and said, Thank you. In the end, she did not ask him to stay. Even though he knew that she needed him to go to Mota Mountains, she still let him go without hesitation. He had emphasized time and again that only the tribe leader of the vulture race would descend the mountain after receiving the Lord's notice. Now that the Lord was no longer around, he would be the last person to descend the mountain. He was her only hope to ascend the mountain. He had already said that he was important enough, but in her eyes, he was still as light as a feather. She even broke off the marriage contract, which blocked his excuse to go down the mountain again. What did she say last time? Ah, this fan was so beautiful. In the future, if he gave it to a female he liked, he might be able to get a wife back to Mota Mountains. But what could he do? The wife he wanted to abduct back to Mota Mountains did not seem to care about this fan, so she easily gave it to him as a parting gift. Goodbye. Gregory's gaze landed on Gu Mingming's face, and he could only say these two words in the end. Yeah, goodbye. Gu Mingming waved goodbye to Gregory, and did not say anything about asking him to stay. Chapter 1302. That Birdman is clearly interested in you. Why don't you take him in? Wabi sprawled lazily on the table. He picked up a small rock and threw it at Gu Mingming's head. Gu Mingming clutched her head and glared at Wabi. Are you courting death? How dare you throw a rock at me? Wabi grinned and nodded. Yes, I dare to throw a rock at you. Gu Mingming held her forehead. Wabi had yet to recover from the fact that he was no longer afraid of her. Provoking her had become his only method of getting close to her. The word dare had him bewitched. She rolled her eyes at Wabi and didn't harp on the little rock. Anyway, it wasn't really that painful, so Gu Mingming didn't mind. I know he likes me, so I can't make use of his feelings. Since I can't reciprocate, I can't let others misunderstand from the start. Gu Mingming glared at Leah and said, in the past I thought he would never like me, so I dared to let him wander around me. Who knew he would suddenly change his personality? Leah shook his head and said, Wabi picked up another small rock from the ground, and was about to throw it at Gu Mingming when she glared at him. This is too big. My head will break if you throw it at me. Wabi threw the pebble-sized rock aside resentfully. He twitched his lips. Beast King? So weak. Gu Mingming rolled her eyes at Wabi and ignored his provocation. She repeated what the beast deity had said to her in her dreams for everyone to hear. Wabi frowned at Elvis and then at Leah. TSK, you should have taken in that Birdman just now. You should have taken in a few more powerful males too. Gu Mingming looked at Wabi with a why are you courting death expression. You changed your profession to being a pimp? Wabi scoffed. You are the pimp. You pimp the entire tribe. Gu Mingming gave Wabi a look, indicating for him to look at Elvis's expression. Wabi glanced at Elvis. I have been by Snake's side for 800 years. Do you think I will be afraid of a mere newly crowned wolf king? There's nothing wrong with that. Wabi was a snake and Snake was the Snake King, so to Wabi, not only did Snake suppress him in terms of combat power, he was also the undefeatable and absolute king in terms of species. Wabi, who had not cowered even after being beaten up by Snake for 800 years, would definitely not be frightened by Elvis. Gu Mingming facepalmed and said, little shit, don't disturb the harmony of my family, alright? Wabi said, it's not that I want to criticize you, but are you using all your ruthlessness on me? Why are you acting so cowardly when you see two useless people from your family? Gu Mingming slammed the table and roared. Just say what you want to say, don't attack me personally. Wabi said, trash will always be trash. Why can't I say that? Seeing that Gu Mingming was about to lose her temper, Wabi gestured for her to stop and continued. According to the beast deity, you killed a strong stray beast in the Mecca desert. But weren't your two idiots there as well? Why do you have to do the rough work of killing people? No matter how I think about it, the only explanation is that these two idiots can't beat him. Damn it, males hiding behind their wives, what else can they be called if not trash? Gu Mingming chuckled and said, little shit. I remember that when I was in the Mecca desert, you were also there. Chapter 1303. With that, Elvis and Leah became even more depressed. Yeah, both of them were around, so why did Gu Mingming have to kill someone? So King aggrieved. Wabi continued. That's why partners must have quality and quantity. Although Little Wolf is a beast king now, he is not a three-headed, six-armed man. There will always be times when he cannot take care of you. To ensure that you can be taken care of better, you should find a few more partners. That way, you won't have to do it yourself the next time you want to kill someone. Gu Mingming was about to suffocate from Wabiai's anger. She scrunched her nose. I'm not a homicidal maniac. Why would I kill so many people? Wabiai chuckled. It would be good if you were a homicidal maniac. At least you wouldn't look so unsettled just because you killed someone. It makes me angry. Gu Mingming was taken aback. She then understood that Wabiai was saying those words because he was worried that she had killed someone during her amnesia. She smiled knowingly and nudged Wabiai's shoulder. Actually, I don't have to find more partners to solve this problem. Don't I still have you? Wabiai was soothed by Gu Mingming's words. His heart, liver, spleen, lungs and kidneys were all warmed up. He said with a smug expression, All right, seeing how pitiful you are and how your two partners are useless, tell me the next time you want to kill someone. Even if I have to turn the beast world upside down, I will kill him for you. Gu Mingming smiled and elbowed Wabiai. My little shit is so reliable. Yes, Wabiai had completely accepted being called little shit. Hearing Gu Mingming call him that, he didn't feel anything and even felt like laughing. Gu Mingming and Wabiai's banter eased the tension at the table. But Li's expression remained grim. He scanned everyone at the table. No one is allowed to leak the fact that Mingming's blood can dispel the stray beast's fear of her. With that, Li's gaze landed on Ian's face. You can't tell this even to your partner. Then, Leah glanced at Oriton and said, Whoever dares to leak a word about this will be put on my blacklist of clients that I will never contact again. Never to meet again was equivalent to saying goodbye to Li's culinary skills forever. Oriton's body trembled, and he said solemnly, Don't worry, I won't say such things even in my dreams. Ian looked back at Leah with a sickly expression and said, It's useless even if you tell your partner. Mandy is just a brainless fan of Gu Mingming. In Mandy's eyes, Gu Mingming is a naive, innocent, and kind little fairy who had descended to the mortal world to undergo a calamity. Even the hair she lost was because she was worried about saving the world, and her farts were fragrant and clean. If I dared to say anything bad about Gu Mingming to her face, in her eyes, I would immediately become a vicious villain who obstructed Gu Mingming from achieving immortality and returning to the heavenly court. Leah chuckled. This little female Mandy has good taste. Ian was speechless. He sighed and looked at Gu Mingming. I heard that there was a cripple among the stray beasts that came to deliver grapes to you. If I'm not wrong, it should be Cole. It's a pity he didn't dare to enter Sauter. It seems like he was scared off by you. Gu Mingming, you are becoming more and more powerful. You can even scare perverts away. Remember to tell Mandy that I praised you today. Digression. The author's words. Chapter 1304. At the mention of Cole, Li's gaze darkened. As long as Cole knows that Wabiai is not afraid of Mingming, he will understand that there is a way to overcome this fear. If he cannot get close to Mingming, he will definitely turn his attention to Wabiai. Wabiai lifted his eyelids nonchalantly. Come on, let's see if that broken body of his is enough for me to eat. Qishuan's life is still in his hands. He has nothing to fear. Leah shook his head gently and denied Wabiai's words. He just narrowed his long eyes and smiled coldly. Since he wants a solution, let's give him one. Wabiai nodded. Let's give him one. Wabiai sked. You have so many wolf cubs. What's the big deal if one or two die? Just because of Qixuan. How long are you going to be threatened by Cole? Gu Mingming smacked Wabiai's head. Don't joke about such things. Fall out. Wabiai flexed his neck, which had been misplaced by Gu Mingming's smack. That's right. Look at the beast world. Which family can give birth to a litter of children, and all of them live to adulthood? That snake beast can lay over 10 to 20 eggs in a litter, but only 3 to 5 of them will survive to adulthood. Moreover, Qixuan is just a male cub, not a female. I don't know why you treasure him so much. TSK, you are the weird one. That is my flesh. His heart, liver, spleen, lungs and kidneys were all given by me. Why shouldn't I treasure him? I'm warning you, if you continue to say such things, we can't be friends anymore. Seeing that Gu Mengmeng was really about to get angry, Wabi scared and didn't continue speaking. Snakes were naturally cold-blooded, and Wabi really couldn't understand familial love. He had lived for 800 years, and the only two people he cared about were Elvis and Gu Mengmeng. Gu Mengmeng nudged Wabi. When you find a female and give birth to a litter of snakes in the future, you will understand how I feel now. Wabi rolled his eyes. If giving birth to a child will turn me into you, then I won't. When that time comes, I will be bullied by others. Just the thought of it pisses me off. Gu Mengmeng did not insist and just looked at Leah, asking, what kind of solution do you intend to give Cole? Leah chuckled. Stray beasts are afraid of you. As long as you get rid of your stray beast status, isn't it? Gu Mengmeng was confused. What do you mean? Leah glanced at Wabi. As long as you say that you helped Wabi remove his stray beast status and allowed him to mate with a female again, won't the problem be solved? Will it work? Wabi is so cunning, would he believe him? Gu Mengmeng was skeptical. Leah chuckled. With Peter's success story right there, he will believe it. Gu Mengmeng looked at Wabi. Then where are we going to find a female to act with us? Leah shook his head and said, as long as it's an act, there will definitely be flaws, so. Are you serious? You want Wabi, this old bachelor of 800 years, to fall in love with a female, and then get rid of his stray beast status like Peter? Gu Mengmeng's eyes widened. She really felt that the probability of this happening was even lower than the probability of a comet hitting the Earth. Chapter 1305. Leah looked at Gu Mengmeng's confused expression and found it extremely adorable. Hence, he cupped her little face and kissed it over and over again before continuing. To be able to move the heart of an old bachelor like Wabi, it must be a unique female. Logically speaking, the best candidate should be you, because there is no one more beautiful than you in this world. It is natural for any male to fall in love with you. However, I don't want you to be the scapegoat, so I can only settle for the next best thing, and choose a very special and unverifiable female. Who? Gu Mengmeng was confused. Leah chuckled. Wang Xiaoxin. What the heck? Gu Mengmeng almost burst out laughing. Do you mean I should let Wabi and Wang Xiaoxin have a ghost marriage? Leah shrugged his shoulders and chuckled. The messenger of the beast deity returned to the embrace of the beast deity after completing her mission. While you can travel between the beast world and the beast deity's world. So in theory you and Wang Xiaoxin should be able to meet each other in the beast deity's world. You always mention Wabi in front of the beast deity, so it is reasonable for Wang Xiaoxin to be interested in him. Gu Mengmeng face-bombed. So I am a pimp, Leah chuckled. How can you say that you're pimping your friend out of kindness when you're trying to introduce him to a good man when he's all alone? Gu Mengmeng looked at Leah and gave him a thumbs up. I always thought I was good at bluffing, but you are even better than me. Leah kissed Gu Mengmeng's little face and said, that's why, if we're not a family, we won't enter the same house. Gu Mengmeng thought about it and shook her head. But Wang Xiaoxin is Snake's mother. Isn't the seniority a little too messy? Leah smiled slyly and said softly, just because she is Snake's mother beast. This matter fits Cole's perverted logic. Gu Mengmeng tilted her head and looked at Leah, confused. Leah continued to explain. Snake had already disappeared from the beast world. Wabi had been suppressed by him for 800 years and had never won. After that, he no longer had the chance to turn the tables. But now, as long as he follows Wang Xiaoxin, he will be able to suppress Snake in terms of seniority. Cole will definitely like this feeling. Gu Mengmeng chuckled. She recalled what Bailan had said before. She had said that the husband she found in the future must be surnamed Wang, and give birth to a son named Wang Yang. Her first love was called Wang Yang, but he cheated on her and broke up with her. She said that she didn't educate Wang Yang well when she was his girlfriend, so she would educate him again as his mother. Gu Mengmeng couldn't help but find it funny that the joke back then had now become Lee's plan. She asked, will Cole believe it? Leah did not answer but asked Wabi instead. If you were given a chance to be Snake's father, would you do it? F***ck. Wabi slammed the table and stood up without hesitation. Just the thought of Snake's angry face turning green in front of him made him feel inexplicably exhilarated. Leah gave Gu Mingming a sea expression and she was speechless. She could only nod and say, "Then what?" Leah chuckled and said, "Cole has never loved anyone before. It is impossible for him to form a new contract like Peter did. Even if we take 10,000 steps back, if Cole really has some dirty tricks to rid himself of his stray beast status. Do you think he can withstand the backlash of a second mating contract?" Chapter 1306. After settling Cole's matter, their next target was the love of the sky on Mota Mountains. It was not wise to let Gregory go just like that, but Gu Mingming knew that the most unredeemable thing in this world was emotional debt, so she could not make use of other people's feelings for her. Back then, she was entangled with Leah because he was in her heart, and she could not bear to let him go. But now that she did not have Gregory in her heart, she naturally could not let others mislead her. But if she let Gregory go, how were they going to ascend the mountains now? "Let's go to Mota Mountains during the rainy season next year." Elvis hugged and kissed Gu Mingming. "Because of Gregory's matter, we have already wasted a month's time. If we don't stock up on food, we will not have a good winter. Don't you still want to visit Qixuan and Kanwu? Let's go to Zacharias this winter, all right?" Gu Mingming thought about it, then shook her head and said, "In the first year after you became the Wolf King, all the Wolf tribe members have been moving toward Sauter. You must stay here this winter to hold the fort, so that everyone in the Wolf tribe can rest assured." "What has it got to do with me whether they are at ease or not? I only care if you are happy." Gu Mingming's eyes were full of smiles. She gently caressed Elvis's chest. "Since you have become the king, you have to shoulder the responsibilities that you have to. They are people who will risk their lives to fight for your orders. You should at least give them some peace. Let's go to Mota Mountains after winter next year. We can also go to Zacharias to visit Qixuan and Kanwu. I believe our sons will not blame us." Elvis did not insist. He just nodded. "I will always listen to Xiaomeng." Ian had completed his mission and said that he wanted to return to St. Nazaire to accompany Mandy. Gu Mingming nodded in agreement. There was no reason for a newlywed couple to be separated just because she wanted a friend to accompany her. Ian took 2 steps forward before turning back. "Gu Mingming, can you make me one of the fans you gave Grace?" "Why? Are you using it to please Mandy?" Ian nodded and said, "I accidentally broke the cup you gave her earlier. I want to take that back to comfort her." Gu Mingming twitched her lips and said, "The feathers Gregory gave me are only enough to make 2. I gave one to him, and the other is with me. If you want it, catch me 12 malatas and I will give you the one in my hand. Then, when I am free during winter, I will slowly paste a new one on myself." Gu Mingming's lips twitched. Ian was a little troubled. "Can I return you 20 malati during the dry season next year? That bird's habitat is very far away. With my speed, it would take at least 2 days to make a round trip. I'm afraid that I won't be able to catch all 12 of them before winter arrives. By then, the mountain would be sealed by the snow and I wouldn't be able to make it back to St. Nazaire in time." Gu Mingming was taken aback. "We have to fly so far to catch malati." Ian nodded. Gu Mingming frowned, feeling a little uncomfortable. She had never paid much attention to why Gregory only appeared once a day to deliver the malati and stay for a meal before immediately leaving again. At that time, she thought that he wanted to draw a clear line between them to prevent her from pestering him to bring her up Mota Mountains. So she did not ask much and did not want to cause any unnecessary misunderstandings. After knowing that Gregory liked her, Gu Mingming thought that he wanted to control his feelings for her and did not want to stay any longer. Now she knew that he had been traveling day and night to catch malati. Chapter 1307. What's the matter? Ian waved his hand in front of Gu Mingming's eyes. "Are you giving it to me or not?" Gu Mingming looked up and stared at Ian for a while, before standing up and returning to the house to take out the other feather fan. She handed it to Ian. "Here, use this to coax Mandy. I don't need you to catch malati for me. This fan. I don't like it anymore." It was not that she didn't like it, but it was too burdensome. A man had helped her to catch a bird from afar, and he had never complained about the hardships along the way. It was fine if she didn't know about it, but now that she knew, she felt that she owed Gregory just by looking at this fan. It was a really bad feeling. Ian didn't know what Gu Mengmeng was thinking about. He didn't stand on ceremony and took the fan. I won't take advantage of you. I owe you a favor. Tell me if you want anything in the future. I will definitely return this favor. Gu Mengmeng waved her hands. Mandy is also my friend. It's nothing to give her something. Let's go. We've been out for so many days. I don't know how anxious Mandy is. Ian nodded and didn't say anything else. He flapped his wings and flew into the sky. He circled twice in the sky, leaving behind a bird's cry before flying off. In the next few days, Leah stayed at home to accompany Gu Mengmeng while Elvis led the wolf clan out to hunt. Because they could hunt with the Wolf King, the entire wolf clan was in high spirits. As a result, the wolf clan's prey was the most abundant in Sodor. This also made the wolf clan's reputation unparalleled. The Snow Fox clan came to look for Leah twice, hoping that the Ninth Highness could lead the Snow Fox clan to hunt together to compete with the wolf clan. However, Leah rejected them. The reason was simple. Elvis was stronger than him. If Elvis went out to hunt, there would be more prey. It was a good thing for the clan. He would never sacrifice Gu Mengmeng's winter meals for the Snow Fox clan's reputation. The Snow Fox clan was snubbed, but they couldn't do anything to Leah. Hence, the 16 tribes' reputation at the night campfire party gradually faded. The Wolf clan became the new star of the show with their fighting abilities. When Elvis was not at home, Gu Mengmeng spent most of her time at Sandy's place, chatting with her and teasing her 2 daughters-in-law and Sandy's 3 leopard cubs. The children grew really fast. The little guys who didn't even have teeth at first were now almost as big as adult cheetahs in the zoo. It was just that it was already more than a year old, but it had no intention of evolving. Gu Mengmeng had asked once and Sandy said that Huda and his brothers were special cases. Usually, beasts would only start evolving at around 3 years old. So Joseph and his brothers were still young and there was no rush. Gu Mengmeng hugged Dodgy in her arms and asked Sandy while stroking her fur. I sent Bode out of Zacharias, and he has yet to return. I wonder if he can come back to spend the winter with you. Will you blame me for being nosy? Sandy shook his head and smiled. If Bode's strength doesn't increase, then he won't be able to keep his position in the family. I can't even thank you enough for pointing out a bright path for him. Why would I blame you? Gu Mengmeng heaved a sigh of relief and felt much more at ease. She then asked, Bode is not at home this year. You can have a nest of little bears with Colin this winter. Chapter 1308. Why? Did they request it? Gu Mengmeng frowned. Sandy smiled and replied, How would they dare to make any requests? They have been well behaved ever since you taught them a lesson the last time. But isn't this the purpose of the marriage alliance? If we want the wolf tribe to truly help Huda and Jiaoyu wholeheartedly, I, as the partner of the marriage alliance, must give birth to a litter of offspring for the wolf tribe. Only then can our relationship be truly confirmed. In the future, if you and Leah can give birth to a daughter, take my son from the wolf tribe as your partner. By then, Sodor will be truly united. Gu Mengmeng did not reply Sandy, because she could not force her own views on marriage onto Sandy. But she knew that if her daughter were to get married one day, it would definitely be because she liked the other party and not because of any damned unity. But Gu Mengmeng could not say these words to Sandy. Sandy's character had gradually matured because she had shouldered the responsibilities that should have been shouldered by Gu Mengmeng. And the reason why she had to bear these responsibilities for Gu Mengmeng was because she had stopped Colin, who was the messenger's guard, and did not allow Colin and Elvis to face off against the powerful forces of Sodor at that time. That bit of guilt had taken root in her heart, and she used all the resources she could to compensate for that guilt. No matter how many times Gu Mengmeng told her not to take that matter to heart, she had never blamed Sandy. But Sandy could not overcome the barrier in her heart. Whenever there was something that she could have done for Gu Mengmeng, but did not, she would be tormented by that guilt until she could not eat or sleep well. At the end of the day, she cared too much about Gu Mengmeng. In the evening, the people who had gone out to hunt gradually returned. Elvis was anxious to see Gu Mengmeng and naturally took the lead. The wild wolves sent the prey back to the stone castle first while Elvis went straight to Sandy's house to fetch her. Sandy's 7 partners followed closely behind Elvis. The 8 wolves galloped over in a menacing and awe-inspiring manner. When he stood in front of Gu Mengmeng, Elvis had already transformed into human form. He scooped Gu Mengmeng up from the stool and hugged her in his arms. He kissed her little face and said, "I missed you so much." During the days that Elvis had been out hunting, this was the first sentence he would say every day when he saw her. At first, Gu Mengmeng felt that he was too mushy, but now she was used to it. Hence, Gu Mengmeng hugged Elvis back and said, "It's been hard on you, I missed you too." The 7 wolves of the Sandy family were panting heavily when they finally regained their footing. Even though they were trying their best to suppress it, it was already extremely difficult for a level 4 orc to keep up with a Beast King's speed, let alone a level 3 orc. But even so, their eyes were still shining with excitement. The more powerful the king, the more powerful the race. The desire of males for power was endless. Just as Elvis was about to carry Gu Mengmeng away, he saw a yellow figure speeding towards them. It came to a sudden stop in front of Sandy, kicking up a cloud of dust. Gu Mengmeng fixed her eyes on it and smiled knowingly. "Hubby, let's go home." Gu Mengmeng patted Elvis's shoulder, indicating for him to leave. Elvis said, "Aren't you going to greet Bode?" Gu Mengmeng smiled knowingly and said, "Absence makes the heart grow fonder. Why should we stay and be the third wheel?" Absence makes the heart grow fonder? Elvis did not understand. Chapter 1309. Elvis understood and gave a knowing smile. He carried Gu Mengmeng and left quickly. When they returned to their own cave, they realized that there were 2 more people in the house. It was Qixuan and Kanwu, who were supposed to be in Zacharias. Gu Mengmeng was extremely surprised and overjoyed. She jumped down from Elvis's arms and hugged her 2 sons tightly. She grinned so widely that only her eyes could be seen. "Mum, we are here to see you." Kanwu laughed in a humming voice. Gu Mengmeng said, "Good, so good." Qixuan just smiled and allowed Gu Mengmeng to hold his arm as they entered the stone castle. Elvis shot a look at the wild wolf, who immediately went to the meeting room to call Hutta and Jiaoyu back. Once the 4 children returned home, Elvis and Leah could only be considered as murals. Already used to this kind of family status, Elvis could not be bothered to fight for attention with his 4 sons. So Leah turned to cook while Elvis cleaned up the day's prey and arranged them neatly. "Why are the 2 of you here?" Gu Mengmeng sat by the bed and looked at her 4 sons who were seated in a circle around her. She was in a great mood. Qixuan said, "When father-in-law came to Zacharias, he said that Mum might not have the time to visit us this year. Kanwu and I were afraid that you would miss us, so we came back to see you." As Qixuan said, he turned to look at Kanwu and said, "Don't you have something to tell Mum?" Kanwu nodded and grinned at Gu Mengmeng with his big white teeth. "Mum, I have leveled up. 2nd level orc." Gu Mengmeng was overjoyed. She hugged Kanwu's head and kissed him repeatedly. "My Kanwu is so powerful." Qixuan chuckled. "Mum, you are favoring one over the other. You didn't treat me like this when I leveled up." Upon hearing that, Gu Mengmeng pounced at him without another word. But Qixuan caught her and said, Don't. I was just saying casually. If you really kiss me, I am afraid I won't be able to walk out of this stone castle." "Why?" Gu Mengmeng did not understand. Qixuan glanced at the busy Elvis and Leah. "It's not like you don't know how jealous your partner is." After being teased by her sons, Gu Mengmeng pinched Qixuan's face without getting angry. She just returned to her original spot and smiled at her 4 sons. Hutta rubbed his nose and said, "As the eldest, I let my younger brothers take the lead. Looks like I have to work hard too." Jiaoyu, however, looked unconcerned as he said, "Kanwu has always walked the path of brute force. It is normal for him to accumulate battle experience quickly. Don't compare yourself to him. He's just a brute." Kanwu straightened his neck and said, "Do you want to fight with this boorish fellow?" Jiaoyu smiled as he shook his head and said, "It's so boring to fight with a 1st-level beast like me." To the left of the door, there's a level 4 snow fox cooking. To the right of the door, there's a level 5 snake hanging on the tree. Upstairs, there's a beast king sorting out the prey. Oh, there's a female beast king sitting in front of you. If you're really capable, challenge them to a fight. Kanwa didn't back down and said, apart from my mother, I will definitely challenge the rest and I will definitely win. Why apart from Mummy? Jiaoyu smiled and asked, why are you sexist? Kanwu raised his head and said, how is that possible? I won't discriminate against Mummy. I'm just afraid she will cry if she loses. Chapter 13:10. Gu Mingming wrapped her arms around Elvis's neck and said proudly, how is it? Isn't my son full of ambition? His words were powerful and impassioned. Too manly. As long as Gu Mingming was happy, Elvis would naturally go along with what she said. He nodded and said, yeah, very imposing. Although Kanwu had always had a strained relationship with Elvis, which son did not want to receive his father's approval. So although Elvis's compliment was mostly to please Gu Mingming, it was a great affirmation for Kanwu. Kanwu, tell Mummy, how did you level up? Gu Mingming asked. Kanwu glanced at Qixuan and smiled. Oh, second brother said that in order to raise the overall strength of the tribe, he often arranged for beastmen of the same level to spar with each other. After fighting a lot, he would level up. Upon hearing that, Gu Mingming felt that this was a good idea. She turned to look at Leah. Before she could speak, Leah continued Gu Mingming's words. We can use this method back in St. Nazaire, but not in Sauter for now. Gu Mingming thought about it and agreed. Sauter's 3 forces were all trying to suppress the other 2. The previous night campfire party was so chaotic that it could almost be compared to empresses in the palace. If it was a normal sparring session, haha, someone would die sooner or later. Gu Mingming nodded in agreement. Kanwu hesitated for a moment before saying to Gu Mingming, Mummy, there's something else I have to tell you. Gu Mingming looked at Kanwu's hesitant face and asked, what's wrong? Kanwu lowered his head, not daring to look at Gu Mingming in the eyes. He said in a small voice, what exactly happened? Kanwu had never been a wishy-washy child. This was the first time he was so timid. Gu Mingming's instincts told her that he was in trouble. She said worriedly, don't worry, your daddy is here to support you. Tell me, what exactly happened? Kanwu scratched his head and said, nothing much, it's just that. I took over the stray beasts camp. Huh? Gu Mingming did not react for a moment. Kanwu thought to himself, since he had already done it, no matter how angry his mother was, she would not strangle him to death. Hence he mustered up his courage and said, I have taken over the stray beasts camp. Why did you take over that place? Gu Mingming could not understand. Kanwu said matter-of-factly, Mother's favorite grapes are in the territory of the stray beasts. I'm not willing to see second brother pluck grapes every year as some stray beast young master, so I took over that place. Every year, Mummy, and I took over that place. Mummy and I will go over to help you too. Kanwu nodded and replied, us 4 brothers promised to be Mother's support in the future, and give the best things in the world to Mother. Since that grape is Mother's favorite, I can't let it fall into someone else's hands. Mummy, I said I you and king I and you. I comma you he you. I and I and. Gu you and you just you. You and I with a knot. Chapter 13:11. Elvis placed his large hand on Kanwu's shoulder. His gaze was solemn, determined and cautious. You did the right thing. This time, Elvis had truly acknowledged Kanwu. As a wolf, he should have the ruthlessness of a wolf. Gu Mingming was very kind and meticulous. This was fine as a female, but she would appear to be indecisive as a male. On the contrary, Elvis was rather satisfied with Kanwu's decision. With Qixuan watching from the side, he did not believe that Kanwu had acted rashly. Gu Mingming sighed. She knew that the beast world had its own rules of conduct. Modern morals and values did not apply here. Taking by force was the right thing to do. But Gu Mingming could not get used to this. Then how did the stray beasts react after you took over? Since they had already done it, Gu Mingming was more concerned about the aftermath. Kamwu twitched his lips. It is precisely because they did not do anything that second brother said he was worried, and asked me to inform mother. That Cole is perverted and evil. I wonder what tricks he is playing behind the scenes. Second brother said his instincts told me that he is definitely plotting something against mother. He can't even get close to me now. And even if he did, he is not my match. Moreover, I still have your father guarding me. But according to his usual style, he will either use the four of you or your mother-in-law to threaten me. Anyway, he can't come up with any new tricks. Qi Xian, who had been silent all this while, slowly opened his mouth. Mother, don't underestimate the enemy. Be careful. Gu Mingming nodded. She smiled and rubbed Qishuan's head. It's all right. Your daddy Leah is by my side. No matter what tricks Cole plays, he will not succeed. Qi Xian nodded. His gaze landed on Leah, who was carrying a pot and setting the table. Mother has one scholar and one warrior by her side. It can be considered foolproof. But it is easier to dodge a spear in the open than an arrow in the dark. You must be more vigilant in everything. Gu Mingming nodded in agreement. Leah then arranged for everyone to eat together. After the meal, Kamwu and Qi Xian had to return to Zacharias. Gu Mingming could not bear to see them leave. They had just returned home for a meal. However, the two children said that it was an important time to store up food. They had just occupied the territory of the stray beasts base camp. If the stray beasts were to counterattack and snatch their food, the consequences would be dire. As the spiritual leaders of the tribe, the two of them had to stay in Zacharias. Gu Mingming knew that what her children said made sense, so she did not force them. She just hugged them over and over again, sending them out of Sauter, and walking for over 10 miles before reluctantly sending her two sons off. After sending his sons back to Sauter, a wolf beast came to report that a female snow fox was waiting for Leah at the entrance of the meeting room. Gu Mingming looked at Leah, who shrugged his shoulders, indicating that he did not know either. He then asked, which female snow fox? The wolf beast shook its head. I don't know him. Leah didn't know what was going on either, and could only nod. Let's go, we'll know when we go back. The group of people did not return to the stone castle, but went straight to the conference room. At the door of the conference room, they saw a female snow fox curled up and sitting at the door. She had a delicate and charming face with a sickly look. She looked like a willow branch swaying in the wind, and looked a little like Lin Daiyu. Chapter 13:12. Miranda. Leah only spat out a name, but Gu Mingming could hear his teeth chattering. Gu Mingming instinctively felt enmity towards this Miranda. Gu Mingming glanced at the female coldly, and realized that the female was looking at Leah lovingly with her watery eyes when she heard Leah calling her name. She bit her lower lip and called out with a trembling voice, Aya! Aya! Gu Mingming frowned. Do you want to sing a part of the Breaking the Ice March? Lee's frown deepened when he heard this form of address. He immediately turned to look at Gu Mingming and shook his head. No matter what you are thinking, it is not what you think it is. With that, he carried Gu Mingming from Elvis's arms and said, Let's go home first, I can explain. Leah did not even look at Miranda as he carried Gu Mingming, and was about to leave. Miranda hurriedly stood up to pull Leah, but her legs were numb from sitting for too long. The moment she stood up, she pounced towards Leah. If Gu Mingming did not see wrongly, she seemed to want to tear off Lee's beast skin dress. But Leah was after all a 4th-level beast. Even if he was carrying Gu Mingming in his arms, he was not someone a female could casually touch. He just dodged to the side and avoided Miranda. Seeing Miranda fall to the ground pitifully, Leah did not even blink and said coldly, If you still want your claws, you better control them. My female doesn't like others touching me. With that, Leah carried Gu Mingming and left without looking back. Miranda lay there sobbing softly, saying in a heartbroken manner, Aya, how could you do this to me? Aya, do you know how difficult it was for me to come back to see you? Aya, Aya. Miranda's voice was not loud. It was not a hysterical cry, but a soft moan that sounded like she was muttering to herself. But Gu Mingming had the power of a beast king, so she could naturally hear it clearly. Damn it, This Miranda was definitely a female classmate with a story, and her story was most likely related to Leah. Back at the stone castle, Gu Mingming said, "Let go of me." Gu Mingming needed to stand at a place where she could look at Lee's eyes to have a good discussion about Aya. But Leah was unusually stubborn as he hugged Gu Mingming tightly. "I'm not letting go. You must have misunderstood me now. If I let go, you will run away. You have to listen to my explanation before I let go." This was the reason why Leah dared to snatch Gu Mingming from Elvis's arms. He was extremely afraid that Gu Mingming would misunderstand and run away, disappearing from his world. "I won't run, let go of me first," Gu Mingming said. Leah shook his head. "Mingming, it's enough that we had that misunderstanding with Nina. I was really afraid that you would get angry and abandon me again. You would say that you would never see me again, that there was only you and me and no us. I was also afraid that once I let go of you, I would see you frowning, cry, jump into the lake and say that the beast world is not good at all, that you don't like it here, don't like me. Mingming, I'm really afraid. Don't struggle, let me hug you like this, I beg you." Every word and sentence of Lee's was like grinding his heart into cinnabar. He raised his pen and wrote on his lips, making Gu Mingming's heart ache. That self-directed misunderstanding was her emotional wound, but wasn't it also a dead knot for him? Chapter 13:13. With Gu Mingming's current abilities, if she really wanted to struggle free, Leah would not be able to hold her at all. Sighing, Gu Mingming gave up struggling and allowed Leah to hug her tightly as he wished he could rub her into his body. "I won't struggle free, tell me. What's the matter with Aya?" Leah felt Gu Mingming's obedience and his heart was no longer in a mess. He tried to loosen his grip a little, and seeing that she really did not push him away, he finally calmed down and heaved a heavy sigh of relief. He said slowly, "Miranda is my father's concubine. When Cole schemed against me, it was on her bed." Gu Mingming felt as if she was struck by lightning, charred on the outside and tender on the inside. Feeling Gu Mingming's abnormality, Leah was at a loss. He said, "In this world, anyone can misunderstand me, no matter how bad they describe me. It doesn't matter. Only you can't. Gu Mingming, you said before that you believe me. Nothing happened between Miranda and me. I'm really innocent." Gu Mingming hesitated for a moment, but still reached out to gently touch Lee's back. She said, "I know, I believe you. Your mating mark is on my left ear. Of course there's nothing between us." Upon hearing that, Leah nodded his head heavily. He first kissed Gu Mingming's left ear. Gu Mingming could feel that his lips were trembling, and even his breathing was vibrating. With the joy of surviving a calamity, Leah then dared to let go of Gu Mingming slightly. He held onto her shoulders with both hands and distanced himself from her. He peeked at Gu Mingming's expression secretly. Yes, ever since Miranda appeared, Leah had been hugging Gu Mingming tightly in his arms. He did not dare to look at her face at all, afraid that there would be disdain and disgust, suspicion and suspicion on her face. "Luckily you believe me." Leah said this with extreme helplessness. Gu Mingming looked up at Leah and said, "I believe you are innocent. And even if something happened between you and Miranda, I believe that you did not do it willingly and was schemed against by Cole. I will not push the blame on you for Cole's crimes. After all, you are also a victim." "No, there's really nothing," Leah explained nervously. Gu Mingming nodded. "Yeah, I said I believe you." Leah pursed his lips, his eyes filled with caution. Miranda's incident was the biggest stain on his life. Regardless of what had happened, regardless of whether he had been framed by Cole, the fact that he had once appeared in another female's bed had already made him guilty of a crime that deserved to die 1,000 times over. He was extremely afraid that Gu Mingming would mind this matter, and also extremely afraid that Gu Mingming would abandon him because of this. So when Miranda appeared, Leah froze. Leah asked, "Then why aren't you smiling?" "You." Gu Mingming sighed. She really could not smile. In the past, she did not understand why Leah called her Mingming, Elvis called her Xiaomeng, and Snake called her Tumeng. But after inheriting Snake's memories, she understood that the beast world had a special meaning for addressing one another. A female could have more than one partner. They couldn't get a complete love, so they wanted a complete title. It was a little self-deceiving, but it was a comfort to the soul. For example, everyone who had no special relationship with her would call her the Great Messenger, or Gu Meng Meng. So Gu Meng Meng was the messenger of the beast deity that belonged to the entire beast world. And Xiao Meng was a Xiao Meng that belonged to Elvis alone. Chapter 13-14. Tu Meng, on the other hand, was the Tu Meng that belonged to Snake alone. Even if they were the same person, because of the difference in their names, there would be a difference in the male's heart. So, Gu Meng Meng really minded the fact that Miranda had a nickname for Leah. She did not even call Leah Aya, so what right did Miranda have to call him that? I mind Miranda. Gu Meng Meng said straightforwardly. Why did she call you Aya? What was the relationship between the two of you in the past? I can see that her attitude towards you is not like an elder to a junior, but more like a woman's admiration, infatuation and unattainable desire towards a man. Don't try to deny it. I recognized her expression just now. It was the same expression on my face when you were fooling around with Nina. You can ask Elvis if you don't believe me. Leah was most afraid of Gu Mingming's cold violence. She did not speak or ignore him, not even giving him a chance to explain or coax her. That was the most torturous. Now she was like a machine gun in an overbearing manner, which made Leah feel at ease. As long as she was willing to ask, she was giving him a chance to explain, at least to prove that she did not intend to abandon him. His heart gradually returned to his chest. Leah kissed Gu Mingming's brow gently and said in a hoarse voice, "My darling, thank you." Gu Mingming was just about to start a big fight with Leah, but the moment the fire was ignited, it was extinguished by Lee's gentle words. The anger in her chest was instantly reduced by half. Facing Lee's humble and doting smile, Gu Mingming could not bring herself to be ruthless and the lines on her face softened. She pushed Leah and said, "What are you thanking me for? Don't think of bluffing your way out of this easily. I am quarreling with you here." Leah smiled as he placed Gu Mingming on the bed. He sat on the floor and propped one hand on the edge of the bed outside of Gu Mingming's thighs, while the other hand held Gu Mingming's little hand and played with it. He looked up at Gu Mingming and placed himself in a lower position than her. He smiled and said, "How can I bear to quarrel with you? Scold me if you feel uncomfortable, I will listen. I'll explain it to you after you're done scolding and vented your anger, okay?" Seeing Leah in this state, Gu Mingming felt as though she had punched cotton. She was hysterical, but he smiled and said, "You look so good scolding me." With that, Leah transformed into his beast ears and flapped his wings twice. He lowered his head in front of Gu Mingming and laid on her thighs gently, saying, "If you're still angry, then pull my ears. I won't dodge or dodge. I'll let you pull until you're appeased, alright?" Gu Mingming looked at the pair of white and furry fox ears and the thick and clean big tail behind Leah. At that moment, she could not even let out her anger. "What you're saying makes it sound like I'm being unreasonable and unreasonable." As Gu Mingming spoke, she could not help but touch Lee's ears. She did not reject the tail that Leah carefully placed in her arms and hugged it with her other hand. Damn it, this damned furry fetish was really a bad habit. Glaring at Leah, he cursed in his heart. Acting cute is shameful, but it's really F***king useful. Chapter 13-15. You don't need to be reasonable. In my eyes, you are the reason. Leah rubbed his cheek against hers before flipping himself onto the bed. He laid on the side of the bed and used Gu Mingming's thighs as a pillow. He looked at Gu Mingming affectionately with his slanted eyes and said, "Mingming, I have only done 2 wrong things to you in my entire life. One is to act in that drama with Nina to make you sad. The other is to appear on Miranda's bed. Other than that, I have not done anything else to make you sad. Trust me, alright?" Gu Mingming's anger had long been dispersed by Lee's sugar-coated bullets. His endless indulgence and pampering made Gu Mingming unable to vent her anger, so she could only nod as a reply. Leah placed Gu Mingming's little hand by his lips and kissed it before continuing. "I will tell you everything you want to know without hiding anything. You can be angry, you can throw a tantrum at me, you can hit me or scold me. You can even ask Elvis to bite me to death. But, you must never say that you want to abandon me. Do you understand? Gu Mingming raised her brows and squinted her eyes. Is there anything between you and Miranda that will make me want to abandon you out of anger? Leah shook his head and said, the most disgusting thing is appearing on her bed. Really? Gu Mingming was skeptical. Leah smiled bitterly and reached out to touch Gu Mingming's left ear, saying, I have already given you my chastity. What are you still doubting? Gu Mingming thought about it and said with a cold face, You liked her before? Leah was so infuriated by Gu Mingming that he laughed out loud. He shook his head helplessly and caressed Gu Mingming's face, saying, Before meeting you, I did not know what liking was. After meeting you, how could I like someone else? Gu Mingming suppressed the smile on her lips. The atmosphere of quarreling was long gone, but Gu Mingming was not going to give Leah a good look without clarifying the matter regarding Miranda. So she straightened her neck and said, Don't try to fool me with sweet words. If you don't tell me clearly what happened between you and Miranda, I will not let you off. Leah nodded and replied, I will tell you everything. Sitting up, Leah opened his arms wide and said, Mingming, you know that the memories of my childhood are a form of torture to me. Only with you in my arms can I have the courage to face those unbearable times. No matter how angry you are, hug me. I really need you now. Gu Mingming did not say anything and just shifted her body into Li's arms. The corners of Li's lips curved up slightly as he rested his chin on the top of Gu Mingming's head. With a gentle gaze he said, My Gu Mingming, please don't abandon me. Without you, I don't know what will happen to me. Chapter 13-16. My partner will choose one of them, the other two will be chosen by my big brother, and the remaining three will be arranged by someone else. It was as if Leah was talking about someone else's matters. He spoke slowly and tirelessly. Miranda is one of the three females. You've also met the other one, Jillian, who was imprisoned by Cole. She's Cole's ex-partner. The last one is Lisa, my big brother's partner. Gu Mingming was a little confused. Didn't he say that the three females were prepared for Leah? How did one become his father's concubine? One became the partner of the eldest highness, and one became Cole's exclusive property. Leah smiled as he played with Gu Mingming's fingers, as if he had seen through her confusion. Without waiting for her to speak, he directly replied, You may not believe me, but I have always kept myself chaste for you. Gu Mingming raised her eyebrows, her face clearly saying, Keep making things up. Leah brought Gu Mingming's little hand to his lips and kissed it, saying, Among the witch doctors in the Snow Fox tribe, I am the most gifted. So I managed to predict many things that my father's generation could not predict. And things that my father and the rest could not understand, I could somehow understand. I know that the messenger of the beast deity is about to descend, and I can even predict the approximate location, but these, I have never told anyone. Gu Mingming knew about this. Elvis had told her before that when Leah chose the location for Saint Nazaire, he did not choose it randomly, but used the lake that she had transmigrated from as the center point, and expanded the area in all directions. He was waiting for the arrival of the messenger of the beast deity, and with the goal of keeping the messenger of the beast deity in Saint Nazaire, he had been cultivating a rapport with Elvis, learning from each other's strengths to make up for his weaknesses. Leah pinched Gu Mingming's little face, saying, Since young, I have known that the person I will mate with is the messenger of the beast deity, so I naturally have to keep my chastity. But I can't tell anyone about this beforehand, because only when the information is sealed can I gain an absolute advantage. When I meet you, I can crush all the other pursuers and become your favorite vixen. A crafty look flashed across Li's eyes, and he smiled, continuing, In order to hide my own motives, I could only allow those old fellows from the Elders' Council to arrange for these three females to stay by my side. To put it nicely, they were childhood sweethearts, but in my eyes, they were just three troublemakers that kept sticking to me. In order to hide from them, I hid in the secret room every day to study the secret book, or to learn witchcraft from my father. With my talent and hard work, my achievements in the witch doctor world came from this. Unfortunately, my avoidance and coldness didn't wake them up, nor did it make them disheartened. Instead, It made their fighting spirit even more aroused. Endless tricks, hundreds of pestering, it really made it hard for me to deal with them. Looking at their eyes that were getting hotter and hotter day by day, I felt like I was sitting on pins and needles, feeling more and more danger, so... Chapter 13-17. Thinking of this, Leah facepalmed. Clearly, he still felt that it was a huge problem. Sighing, he continued. I trusted Cole too much at that time, so I didn't have any suspicions. Now that I think about it, why can't I figure it out? Miranda knew about this. Cole must have told her. I guess. Cole had already been plotting it at that time. A scheme to drag me down from the pedestal of the beloved child and into the mud. I thought I was smart then, to actually seek help from the mastermind. Cole must have been very pleased at that time, laughing at my stupidity in his heart. I paid the price for my stupidity, and ended up with the crime of having an affair with my father's beast concubine, becoming an outcast. No one believed that I was innocent, after all. I was caught red-handed in bed. Gu Mingming frowned and said, I don't understand. Miranda was already so devoted to you. How did she become your father's concubine? And, your father already has a partner. Why would he and Miranda? That. Li's gaze focused on Gu Mingming's face and he said, This is the reason why I was afraid you would abandon me. Gu Mingming didn't understand and just looked at Leah quietly, waiting for his explanation. The males in the beast world will not have intercourse with females other than their partners, but the Snow Fox tribe is an exception. Leah laughed sarcastically, his voice hollow as he said, The Messenger's tribe is so noble and mysterious in the eyes of outsiders, but who would know that the Messenger's tribe does not allow outsiders to enter, just to hide this dirty secret? The females of the Snow Fox tribe will go into estrus once every few years, and Sauter's secret underground tunnel is used for this. What? Gu Mingming was confused. Once the females of the Snow Fox tribe go into estrus, the fox seductive fragrance will spread everywhere. To prevent the fragrance from spreading, all the females will enter the underground tunnel at this time. For a month, they will mate like wild beasts, without reason. Although the males of the Snow Fox clan had a certain degree of resistance to the fox seductive fragrance, the high-purity fox seductive fragrance in a sealed environment, coupled with the infatuated seduction of the females, meant that the males' bottom line was to not touch their mother and daughters. Other than that, they mate indiscriminately. Gu Mingming's hair stood on end and she was speechless. Leah reached out and tapped Gu Mingming's brows, saying, Every time this happens, I will run out of solder and hide in the forest. I'll hide in the deep mountains and forests to protect your chastity. Gu Mingming touched Li's ears and praised, well done. Leah chuckled. Miranda got entangled with my beast father during a mass estrus. I don't know the specific details, but I do know that after that mass estrus, my beast father became obsessed with Miranda. Miranda, who had ended her estrus period, wanted to break free from my beast father's entanglement, but was imprisoned by my beast father. I heard that during that period of time, she cried out my name every night, hoping that I would save her. Perhaps she was pitiful, but it was a good thing for me. I made, at father, and and said, father, at. Chapter 13-18. Gu Mingming neither shook her head nor nodded. She was struggling internally. Gu Mingming knew that she was not that saintly to say that Leah should save Miranda. Leah and Miranda did not have that kind of relationship, and he had no reason to save her. Moreover, if Leah went to save Miranda, Miranda would be even more certain that Leah liked her, and would probably pester Leah to mate with her. Damn it, she still wanted to mate with her son after sleeping with him. What kind of twisted ethical relationship was that? Just thinking about it made her feel disgusted. Leah was right not to get involved in this. However, as a female, she was imprisoned in a small room, being pressed down on by someone she didn't like, and being forced to do whatever he wanted. She struggled to no avail, hoping that her beloved would step on a rainbow cloud and descend like a hero to take her away from the abyss. However, her beloved was indifferent and didn't even look at her. Thinking about it this way, she was indeed quite helpless and pitiful. Everyone's standpoint was different, so the things they saw and the impact they felt were different. Gu Mingming could not use right or wrong to judge who was right or wrong. She just felt uncomfortable, as if a bowl of paste was stuck in her chest, and she could not say anything. Leah held on to Gu Mingming's hand and did not let go. He stared at Gu Mingming with his long and narrow eyes and said word by word, "Mingming, I am not a kind person and I do not have the compassion to save the world. My goodness will only be given to you alone. Other than you, I will not even look at anyone else who falls into the swamp of hell in front of me. I don't have any extra emotions to use on anyone else other than you. Do you understand?" Gu Mingming nodded and did not say a word. Leah heaved a sigh of relief and chuckled. "Mingming, you are very kind and treat everyone well. But I am different. I am selfish by nature, and only treat you well. I know I am not worthy of you, but I am sorry. I cannot let go of you because the moment you leave me, my heart will shatter into pieces." Gu Mingming bent down and kissed Li's forehead. "You are not unworthy of me. You are very good, really very good." Leah raised his head and kissed Gu Mingming's little mouth in satisfaction. It was not a deep kiss, but it was very beautiful. "I was extremely afraid that you would despise and hate me after knowing the secret of the Snow Fox clan. Luckily you didn't." Leah heaved a long sigh of relief and said, "Now I have no more secrets from you. You won't have a reason to abandon me in the future." Gu Mingming smiled helplessly and shook her head. "I have never thought of abandoning you." "You do." Li's gaze was filled with accusation. "During the coldest winter, you said you didn't want me anymore." "You were the one who abandoned me first," Gu Mingming retorted. Leah snuggled into Gu Mingming's arms and said, "Yeah, I was the one who courted death first. So I was punished. Mingming, do you know? Even if one's heart was as hard as a boulder, with copper skin and iron bones, in the end, they still couldn't resist the words, 'I don't love you anymore.' Promise me, never say this sentence to me ever again, all right?" Gu Mingming nodded. She felt that the atmosphere was too mushy, so she changed the topic. "But the Snow Fox clan has such liberal views on sex. Why would you be chased out of Sodder just because you appeared on Milan's bed? This kind of matter, compared to the mass estrus in the secret tunnel, isn't it not worth mentioning?" Chapter 13:19. The dirtier and dirtier the inside, the more they want to look noble and bright on the surface. Mass estrus is Sodder's biggest secret. To cover up this secret, they tried their best to portray the Snow Fox tribe as pure and holy, seeking a noble and empty reputation in the beast world. They carried out their despicable deeds with an air of arrogance. Gu Mingming was stunned for a moment before saying, "So they want to be whores while maintaining a chastity?" Leah nodded and said, "Yeah, something like that." Gu Mingming remained silent for a moment before asking again, "Leah, let me ask you, in the past mass estrus incidents, did anything like what happened between your father and Miranda? Did they not interact much in the past, and suddenly become stubborn after one round of pleasure?" Leah shook his head and said, "Who can tell who is who in a mass estrus situation? They just don't have any rationality and don't want to vent their beastly desires. Most of them are fine after coming out, and can't even tell who is the person they have been with for a month, who would suddenly become stubborn." Gu Mingming nodded and bit her lower lip lightly as she fell into deep thought. Leah looked into Gu Mingming's eyes and asked, "What are you thinking about?" Gu Mingming was brought back to her senses by Leah. She hesitated for a moment before continuing. "Do you think your father's sudden stubbornness towards Miranda could be Cole's doing?" Leah frowned and his brain was working furiously. His eyes lit up and he said, "You mean the bewitching spell?" Gu Mingming nodded and said, "Under normal circumstances, it is very difficult for a high-level witch doctor like your father to fall for it. But mass estrus happened in an airtight environment like the secret tunnel, so the purity of the fox seductive fragrance must be unprecedentedly high. As long as the timing is right, the success rate of casting the bewitching spell is very high. This is the only way to explain why your father suddenly became interested in the partner he had originally arranged for you, and was so stubborn to lock her up and make her his." Leah nodded in agreement. Suddenly he smiled and said, "So my beast father's death was not caused by him vomiting blood after seeing me and Miranda having an affair. It was because of the bewitching spell. Ha, I only know that I am innocent, but I never thought that I have been carrying the blame for Cole all these years." "You've never thought about it?" Gu Mingming was a little surprised. By right, with Li's intelligence, there was no reason he could not think of this. Leah shook his head and said, "I knew it was Cole who set me up, but I did not think about Beast Father's death. I really thought that I had angered Beast Father to death, and felt guilty for many years." Gu Mingming patted Li's shoulder lightly and said, "It's all in the past, don't think about it anymore." Leah chuckled and pinched Gu Mingming's little face. "Silly girl, didn't I already say? The only one who can make me sad in this world is you. As long as you don't leave me, nothing can hurt me." Gu Mingming smiled and nodded, agreeing that she would not leave him. Then she asked, "But this Miranda suddenly appeared. How should we deal with her?" Chapter 13:20. Then how do you plan to deal with it? Gu Mingming asked softly. Leah grinned at Gu Mingming and said, "Do you know how afraid I am that you will misunderstand me? I definitely don't want to be involved in such scandals. I will contact the other tribes later, and use Miranda to exchange for some food before winter." Gu Mingming frowned and said, "Usually, don't only females who have committed a grave mistake will be traded to the other tribes as goods? Will the Snow Fox tribe agree to it, if you deal with Miranda like this?" "Probably not." Leah chuckled and said, "Now the Snow Fox tribe, Wolf tribe and the 16 tribes are in a stalemate, each with their own territory. Jiaoya's little trick at the night campfire helped the 16 tribes to come out on top. And Elvis also led the Wolf tribe to show off his prowess during the food storage hunt. If I trade Miranda as a commodity at this time, it will undoubtedly be a slap to the Snow Fox tribe's face. Those old fellows will not let it go so easily." "Then you still..." Leah smiled with his eyes squinted. He wrapped one arm around Gu Mingming's neck and pulled her in front of him. He kissed her eyes and said, "No matter how troublesome the situation is, it can't be compared to you frowning to make me feel helpless. As long as I don't make things difficult for you, what does other people's reputation have to do with me? If they are unhappy, don't acknowledge me as the Ninth Highness. I did not beg them to acknowledge me as their ancestor. It was them who refused to let go of me, the messenger's partner, and insisted on getting close to me." Gu Mingming held Li's face and kissed him on the lips. She said, "Why don't I be the bad guy and say that I am jealous and cannot tolerate Miranda? I want to see who dares to criticize me." Leah shook his head and said, "Who would push their own female out to be the scapegoat? If you become the bad guy, Elvis and I will not be able to face anyone in the future. Moreover, it was my intention. If I dare to do it, I am not afraid to admit it. Only when I personally give this order can I prove that I have no evil intentions towards Miranda. No matter what intentions she has, I will wake her up as soon as possible. I did not save her that year, and I will not care about her life now. I'm afraid it's too late." Elvis, who had been silent all along, leaned against the door and said softly. Leah and Gu Mingming both looked up at him in confusion. Elvis said, "The wild wolf I left behind to watch over Miranda has just reported that Miranda has already met with the elders of the Snow Fox clan." "So fast?" Leah frowned and straightened his back. He was stunned for 2 seconds before he smiled. "That's true. Cole's plan is not something I can reject easily. It doesn't matter. Since acting first and reporting later won't work, then I'll just bully others with my power. Let me go with you?" Gu Mingming asked. Leah nodded. You naturally have to accompany me when I'm dealing with Miranda's matter. Just in case there's a situation where I can't explain myself clearly and someone tries to sow discord in front of you. By then, even if you believe a word or two, it would be like stabbing a knife into my heart." Gu Mingming looked straight into Li's eyes and held his hand, saying, "Leah, you have to know one thing." Anyway, Miranda had already met the elders, so Leah was not in a rush. He might as well accompany Gu Mingming for a while longer. Only when he looked at her did he feel that life was not so terrible. Chapter 13:21. Both of you are the people I love. No matter what I hear or see, I will always choose to believe both of you at the first instance. No matter how much evidence is thrown in my face, as long as you say no, I will believe you. So don't be so cautious and fearful. I will not try to understand my lover from other people's mouths. Leah and Elvis both smiled and nodded. They kissed Gu Mingming's cheeks and replied gently, "All right." Gu Mingming then nodded and said, "Go and settle Miranda's matter. If my presence can make you feel at ease, I will accompany you. If you are just afraid that someone will sow discord and use this as a pretext, I don't think there is a need." Leah chuckled and circled his large tail around Gu Mingming's waist. He said, "What if I say, I want to see you be jealous because of me? Just like that time in St. Nazaire when you fought with Nina because of me. That kind of you made me feel so blissful that I could fly. So I feel very conflicted. On one hand, I hope that you will be jealous because of Miranda. On the other hand, I am extremely afraid that you will misunderstand our relationship. TSK, I don't even know what I want." Gu Mingming rolled up her sleeves and said, "You want to see me fight with other females because of you? All right, I will satisfy you. But you have to answer a question of mine first." "Yeah, I will tell you everything I know." Gu Mingming placed her hands on her waist and said, "You still haven't told me why Miranda cares about you, Aya?" Gu Mingming emphasized the word Aya, causing Leah to laugh out loud. He moved closer to Gu Mingming's ear and bit her earlobe. He said softly, "Because she is shameless. She actually stole the nickname that belongs to you. Gu Mingming, you have to snatch it back." Gu Mingming raised her brows and looked at the unreasonable Leah. Leah smiled in a flattering manner and said in a flirtatious manner, "Everything I have belongs to you, including any nickname. That Miranda took it without asking and treated it as a thief." "So you never agreed to let her call you that, right?" Gu Mingming asked. Leah nodded seriously and said, "Why would I allow her to give me a nickname when I'm avoiding her?" "All right then. Don't feel bad when we start tearing at each other." Leah kissed Gu Mingming's face lightly and said, "I will only feel sorry for you for being tired. I don't care about other people's lives." Gu Mingming nodded. "Let's go." The family of three exited the stone castle, and a huge pack of wolves followed them. As usual, they stopped outside the meeting room while Leah carried Gu Mingming into the meeting room. In the meeting room, Miranda was sitting on the foot of Gu Mingming's seat, crying her heart out. A group of elders were standing 2 steps away, filled with righteous indignation. The moment Gu Mingming entered, she heard one of the elders consoling Miranda. "You are the precious female of our Snow Fox tribe, and also have the noblest bloodline. The responsibility of continuing the deity's child depends on your belly, so don't worry no matter what, we will not let him do anything rash." Gu Mingming laughed coldly and said, "I wonder if the beloved child that elder is referring to is my Leah?" Once Gu Mingming said that, the meeting room became so quiet that even a pin drop could be heard. The face of the elder who had just finished speaking turned pale, obviously feeling guilty. Chapter 13:22. As if Miranda had an infectious disease, he said, "Who do you think you are? How dare you lay your hands on the seat of the tribe leader?" Miranda's shoulders shook in aggrievement as she sobbed softly. She replied with an infinitely sorrowful and pitiful tone, "Aya, you've misunderstood me. It's because I fell outside and hurt my leg, and I couldn't stand up, and I cried so hard that I fainted. That's why the elders brought me here to sit and rest. I didn't covet the seat of the chief of the tribe. How would I dare? Aya, don't be angry. I will leave immediately, all right?" As Miranda spoke, she pretended to be strong and stood up. But before she could straighten her knees, her entire body tilted to the side, and she fell onto the ground again. Sob. "Aya, I'm in so much pain. You're the witch doctor, can you help me? My leg, it must be hurt. Aya, can you help me up, please?" Miranda looked at Leah with watery eyes. This snow fox's seductive beauty had turned into a Lin Dayu style of crying, making her look even more pitiful. Gu Mingming couldn't help but applaud Miranda in her heart. She would definitely be a movie queen in the modern world. She had looks and acting skills, It would be unforgivable if she didn't win an award. This Snow Fox tribe, they don't care about rules anymore. They don't even care about seniority anymore, right? Gu Mingming had a faint smile on her face. She spoke slowly and calmly, but it made the group of elders tremble with fear. They exchanged glances and knelt down in unison. We pay our respects to the great messenger. Actually, Gu Mingming had always been unwilling to let others kneel down to her, especially these old foxes. They all looked older than her grandfather, and she was afraid that her life would be shortened if they knelt down to her like that. But if the other party didn't respect their elders and took advantage of their seniority, then it would be another matter. If you don't respect yourself, then who would respect you? So you guys still know that I'm the messenger of the beast deity. I thought I had been amiable for too long, and you guys had long forgotten my identity. We don't dare. The few old foxes were all shrewd. How could they not hear the sarcasm in Gu Mingming's words? Although they thought highly of themselves, or maybe it was because Gu Mingming had been too kind for too long that they had forgotten their status, but they could not ignore Miranda's matter. Hence, they temporarily put down their pride and wanted to appease Gu Mingming first. Gu Mingming glanced at Miranda from the corner of her eyes. Still maintaining her elegant smile, she asked, "You don't worship me because you don't have me in your eyes? Or because you don't even care about the beast deity?" This accusation was a little too heavy. However, his father had said that he would be a fool not to rely on such a big backer. As his biological daughter, she should not rely on her father to bully others. No, it's not like that. Miranda only, because she was injured. Miranda looked like a weak little white flower, like a pitiful female lead who was bullied by an evil mother-in-law in Xiangyao dramas. She crawled towards Gu Mingming miserably. Her hands crossed on the ground and her forehead touched the back of her hands. She bowed to Gu Mingming like an ancient woman meeting an emperor. Her voice was filled with the tone of a submissive little girl. Miranda from the Snow Fox tribe greets the great messenger. Chapter 13:23. Gu Mingming didn't ask everyone to get up and just smiled. She didn't look angry at all but pressured the old fox from the Snow Fox clan, and Miranda so much that they couldn't breathe. She waved her hands and said, "Leah, put me down." Leah obeyed and put Gu Mingming down. Then he and Elvis stood behind Gu Mingming, following her every step. Gu Mingming walked past Miranda and stood in front of the stone chair. She smiled and gave it a punch. With a clang, the stone chair shattered into pieces and couldn't be pieced back together to its original state. This sudden sound gave Miranda a fright. She shrunk back and stared at Gu Mingming in fear. The elders were also surprised, as if they couldn't figure out Gu Mingming's plan. Gu Mingming patted the dust off her hands and said, "I have a weird habit. I don't like others to touch my things. If someone touches it, I will destroy that person along with that thing. On account that it's your first offense today, Miranda, I will only destroy the chair and let you off. If there's a next time, I will crush you more thoroughly than this chair." Miranda knelt there and trembled like a sieve. She looked at Gu Mingming as if she was about to cry. Gu Mingming smiled and said, "You don't have to be so afraid. I am not an unreasonable person. Since you like this chair, then take it. Now I am giving it to you. I am representing the beast deity to reward you. You have to cherish it. If even a piece of broken stone is missing, it would be a crime of looking down on the beast deity. If you understand, then come over to receive your reward." Miranda looked at the pile of broken stones and tears streamed down her face. She cried like a pear blossom covered by rain. She was definitely crying like a fairy. She gently rubbed the spot 2 fingers below her eyes and said with extreme grievance, "Aya, quickly help me explain to the great messenger. The great messenger really misunderstood me. I did not covet the great messenger's position." Sobs, sobs, sobs. "Aya, what's wrong with you? Quickly help me explain." Gu Mingming placed her finger on her lips and made a shushing gesture. Seeing that Miranda had shut up, she then said, "You can't reject the messenger's reward. No matter what you want to say, just accept the reward first. Remember, you have to personally move them away piece by piece and place them properly. If you continue to talk nonsense, I will take it that you are looking down on the beast deity." Miranda bit her lower lip, her eyes never leaving Lee's face. Seeing that he had no intention of speaking up for her, and was instead looking at Gu Mingming in admiration, a venomous hatred flashed across her eyes. But she hid it very well. It was just a flash and was immediately suppressed. He kowtowed again and said, "Thank you, Lord Envoy, for your reward." With that, she really started to move the broken stones with her bare hands. She did not forget to put on a gentle and stubborn look while moving them. TSK, how lovable. Gu Mingming shifted her gaze away from Miranda's face and landed on the elders who were still kneeling on the ground. She swept her gaze across and stopped at Elder Eugene, who had just comforted Miranda. Chuckling, Gu Mingming said, "Elder Eugene, you have not answered my question. You mentioned the favored son just now. Are you referring to my Leah?" Chapter 13:24. But Leah smiled and replied, 300 years ago, I am the only deity's beloved. If you are not talking about me, then are you talking about the witch doctor from 300 years ago?" Elder Eugene lowered his head respectfully and replied, "Yes, I am talking about the Ninth Highness." Gu Mingming had an icy look on her face and frowned slightly. She asked in confusion, "Then, why does the continuation of my Lee's bloodline depend on Miranda's stomach? How could a sly old fox like Eugene not understand?" Gu Mingming smashed that chair just now to fix Miranda, and to intimidate herself was secondary. She used that chair to warn herself that if they dared to send Miranda to Lee's bed, then that chair would be the fate of the entire Snow Fox tribe. If this threat came from someone else, Eugene could just scoff coldly and say bring it on. But the one who said this was Gu Mingming. She had the capital and the ability, not to mention her Wolf King partner, and that perversely strong snake beast friend, even the Ninth Highness of the Snow Fox tribe himself. He would not hesitate to massacre the entire Snow Fox tribe with just one command from Gu Mingming. This was supposed to be a secret plan, but Gu Mingming overheard it due to his carelessness. It was too late to deny it now. Eugene deliberated for a while and decided to make things clear. He knelt down and said, "Mighty messenger, you may not know, but the deity's beloved is the most noble bloodline in the Snow Fox tribe and must be inherited. And Miranda is one of the purest females in the Snow Fox tribe. So, in order to continue this noble bloodline, we need to borrow Miranda's stomach to give birth to a litter of cubs for the Ninth Highness. Of course, the emissary's status is noble, and as the emissary's companion, your Ninth Highness naturally shouldn't keep a concubine. So as long as Miranda continues your Highness's bloodline, this subordinate is willing to personally kill Miranda to prevent future troubles. Borrow someone else's stomach to give birth to a child." Gu Mingming chuckled and shook her head. She said indifferently, "Mighty Eugene, you are so scheming. If this was in ancient times, wouldn't he be a chief eunuch? Or someone like Zhao Gao? This is also to allow the Snow Fox tribe to grow stronger, so that we can continue to serve the mighty messenger better. Please understand." "What if I don't understand?" Gu Mingming chuckled. "I have always been a petty person. What makes you think I can tolerate other females bearing children for my man? As soon as the child is born, Miranda will be executed immediately. She will not pose any threat to the Lord Emissary. Moreover, the Ninth Highness is deeply in love with the great messenger, so he won't fall in love with someone else because of a child." Gu Mingming laughed coldly and said, "There are two things that Elder Eugene is mistaken about. First, regardless of whether Miranda was alive or dead, she posed no threat to me. Second, my man in any matter in any aspect, it is not your turn to arrange. Do you really think you can take advantage of your seniority just because you're an elder?" Gu Mingming's gaze swept across all the elders kneeling on the ground and she said word by word, "I'll say it here today. I, Gu Mingming, am a person with a lot of problems. I hold grudges and have mysophobia, especially when it comes to men. Whoever dares to extend their claws towards my man, I guarantee that they won't be able to return." Chapter 13:25. Gu Mingming had always been planning to give birth to a nest of little foxes for Leah, But that was one thing. Being forced to give birth by others made her very unhappy. Gu Mingming leaned into Li's arms and asked with a smile, "What if I don't want to give birth?" The elders all knelt in a row in unison and said, "Then Great Messenger, please allow Miranda to stay and continue the Ninth Highness bloodline." Gu Mingming laughed coldly and said, "If all of you say that, I can't keep this Miranda." Leah spread the news that Sauter wants to sell a perfect female from the Snow Fox tribe. She has good looks and a healthy body, and is the best choice for bearing children. Yet she should be able to sell for a good price. "All right," Leah answered gently without any hesitation. Miranda, who had just finished moving the last piece of broken stone, returned. She heard Gu Mingming's final verdict the moment she entered and her weak body slumped to the ground. Tears flowed down her cheeks like pearls from a broken necklace. She looked at Leah with a heart full of resentment and said, "Aya, how could you do this to me? For the sake of our past relationship, you should at least speak up for me. Even if you have a new lover now, at least I was once engaged to you. How can you just watch as the Great Messenger sells me off?" Gu Mingming took 2 steps forward and squatted in front of Miranda. She pinched Miranda's chin and scrutinized it, saying, "If your teeth are knocked out, will you not be able to sell them for a good price?" With that, Gu Mingming slapped Miranda's face with the back of her hand. One of her teeth loosened and Miranda spat it out together with blood. Miranda did not expect Gu Mingming to hit her, and was so stunned that she even forgot to cry. She just stared at Gu Mingming in a daze. "I don't like it when you give my man nicknames so casually. It makes me very unhappy." Gu Mingming pinched Miranda, whose mouth was full of blood, and asked with a smile, "Didn't Cole tell you that I have a bad temper when he sent you here? Don't provoke me if you want to stay alive." No. Miranda started trembling at the mention of Cole. It was different from her previous pitiful act. This time, she was really trembling and her face turned green instantly. She shook her head with all her might and said, "Cole didn't send me here. I escaped by myself, really." Miranda crawled towards Leah as she spoke. She reached out to grab onto Li's ankle, but Leah took a step back, causing her to fall onto the ground. Her eyes were bloodshot and tears and mucus were dripping down her face. She cried extremely pathetically and shook her head desperately while shouting, "Aya, Ninth Highness, I really escaped by myself. I went through so much trouble to escape from Cole's clutches and come back to see you. I beg you, don't sell me. This is the only place in the entire beast world that Cole doesn't dare to come to. I can only stay in Sauter to avoid that devil. I beg you, let me stay, save me." Gu Mingming and Leah exchanged glances. Looking at Miranda, who was crying so hard that the veins on her neck were popping out, they both believed that Miranda was speaking the truth now. The subtle reactions on her body were the most honest, and it was not something that could be deceived by acting. But what kind of person was Cole? The person he imprisoned could escape so easily? Ha! Who would believe that? Gu Mingming was not a heartless person, but she understood the principle of not looking out for herself. Chapter 13:26. No woman would keep a woman who wanted to climb into her man's bed by her side, right? At least Gu Mingming knew she could not do it. "Keep your tears, I have no sympathy for my love rivals." Gu Mingming walked towards Leah and allowed him to pull her into his arms. He used his arm to support her and hugged her like a child. Gu Mingming used Li's height to look down on him. "Find a buyer within 3 days and sell Miranda. This is the order of the messenger of the beast deity. Anyone who disobeys will die." With that, Gu Mingming glanced at the group of elders and smiled. "Don't provoke me if it's really for the good of the Snow Fox tribe. Otherwise, it's not difficult for me to make a tribe disappear without a trace in this boundless world." With that, Gu Mingming suddenly released some beast pressure, and then quickly retracted it. Elvis stood behind Leah without anyone noticing and supported him secretly. The other elders were not so lucky and were directly pressed onto the ground, unable to get up. Miranda was a female and did not feel anything from the beast pressure. She just sat there bawling her eyes out. Seeing that Gu Mingming and Leah were about to leave, she shouted at the top of her lungs, "Ninth Highness, Is liking you such a heinous thing? Leah did not reply, nor did he pause. He just carried Gu Mingming out of the meeting room. When he came out, he saw Huda and Jiaoyu guarding the door. Their expressions did not look too good. They must have been affected by Gu Mingming's pressure just now. Leah said, "Make arrangements to sell Miranda within 3 days. The price is negotiable and the further the better." Jiaoyu shook his head. "Daddy Leah, you are really heartless." Leah glared at Jiaoyu and said with a serious expression, "Don't joke about this." Jiaoyu shrugged. "I know you are henpecked. You don't have to be so obvious." Gu Mingming did not say a word. She just laid on Li's shoulders and looked a little dazed. How should she put it? Logic told her that her decision was right. This Miranda had impure intentions towards Leah, and was also involved with Cole. From the moment they met till now, she had put on a pitiful act. It was true that she was afraid of Cole, but she did not rule out the possibility that Cole had let her come to solder because he knew this was the case to gain Gu Mingming's sympathy. Gu Mingming had Wang Xiaoxin's psychological knowledge, and the success rate of lying to Gu Mingming was about the same as buying a lottery ticket. So if one wanted to succeed, there must be at least 80% true information mixed with at most 20% true motives. Then, Miranda's identity was real. Her fear of Cole was real and her escape was real. At least Cole had made her think that she had escaped on her own. In the entire beast world, solder was the only place that Cole did not dare to go near because of Gu Mingming's presence. As an escaped prisoner who was afraid of Cole, solder was naturally the best choice. Moreover, Leah, whom Miranda had been pining for, was here. So Cole just had to create a chance for Miranda to escape. Her only destination would be solder. But Gu Mingming could not understand why Cole had arranged for Miranda to come to solder. Was it just to create trouble for Leah and drive a wedge between their relationship? In this matter, Miranda was undoubtedly just a chess piece. But once she was on the chessboard, who could be considered innocent? Both of them had their own reasons. Both of them had no choice but to do so. You're tuning into the Echoes of the Heart YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.